Good afternoon. This is Sheldon with Evans Outdoor Adventures, even though I'm sure you cannot see my face on camera. Again, shooting alone, learning as we go. It is August the 8th, about 3 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon here in World Headquarters, Mulvane, Kansas. It's hot outside. 95-ish degrees. Who knows what the humidity is, but anyway, I thought I would tie a fly for you today. While I was down with back surgery, somewhere in the middle of the night, I was watching videos on YouTube, came across Texas Fly Caster, and one of the titles to his video was Stupid Simple Muddy Water Carp Fly. Texas isn't much different than Kansas when we get to muddy water, so I really paid attention to this one. If you could see my tying room, you would see that it has turned into a work from home room. It is a mess. That's why we're doing a little innovating on even getting this video shot here. Finally dug my stuff out, found that I had the materials. When I say stupid simple, I've been tying for about a year, not even a year probably. And if I can tie this, I've tied half dozen in a half hour easy. If I can tie this, you can tie this. Materials we're using today, I am using fly tying hooks, model 19 size 12, 60 degree jig head or jig heavy from Wholesale Fly Company. Hold that where you can see that. Also using 2.5 millimeter tungsten beads from Wholesale Fly Company. Other components are a piece of, they call this gold tinsel chenille when I bought it out at Cabela's. I'm not 100% sure I'm going to stick with the gold tinsel on this fly. I may go to the gold chenille like the red chenille here that I use for buggers, etc. First fly I ever tied was a red San Juan worm using a piece of red chenille about that long. Anyway, tied it on this vise right here. Also using UTC 140 tan thread. The recipe calls for tan or brown. So we want to go ahead and get our thread started here. Build a nice thread. Don't let go of it. Just start your thread. Maybe. Get your thread started on there. And I'm trying not to do the red-green thing and the big loops. But I have a bad habit of doing that. Once I have my thread good and started, I go ahead and take my scissors and I nip that tail end off. Now, to secure this bead, and I didn't tell you, I went ahead and smashed down the barbs on the hook and mounted the bead on this bent hook. Want to secure this bead, and I build a heck of a thread dam right behind that bead. Couple of ideas I've got here and the man on the video brought up. It's going to secure that bead against that eye. I'm not worried about crowding the eye on this fly because I'm using a bead and the bent eye hook. Once I have, but I'm not sure how this is coming through. Once I have a pretty good thread base there and I have that bead secure, I run my thread all the way down the shank of the hook into the bend. And I'm trying to do touching turns. Old fly guy loves touching turns, keep all the lumpy bumpies out. I cannot disagree with him. When I was doing a lot of welding, a welder buddy of mine had the saying that if it looks good, it's going to operate good. And I kind of carry that over to fly tying. I want my flies to look pleasing, and they should go out and perform. I do not claim to be a great fly tyer because I am not. As you can tell, I keep catching that hook. That is one of my reasons for going to 140 thread. The first kit I ever bought from Cabela's had the 70 in it. I've tied a lot of flies with it. I probably still have quite a lot of that thread in my box. Just bring that thread on up the shank, and then I'm going to go right back. Anyway, I have a bad habit of catching that hook point with my thread. And if you've ever caught anything on the tip of a razor blade knife, that's what you're doing there. You're making little itty bitty voids in that thread. So we want to, one of the reasons I go down and back and down, other than the fact that down here is where we're going to, I shouldn't be pointing in front of the camera, down here is where we're going to be tying our materials in. But I'm adding a little weight to this fly. That little bitty bead really does not have much weight to it, to be honest. Adding weight to the fly, my theory is with the weight, with the bent hook, with the bead, and the added weight of the thread, this fly should swim or land or present itself hook point up. Now realize I'm building this for carp, so it's going to be, I'm trying to sight fish the carp. I see them tailing, I present the flash of the gold, and this red tail should get their attention. Putting the tail in, I just lay it on my side. Because I am right-handed, I lay it on my side, a couple of loose wraps, and then I snug it. Sometimes I have to hold my index finger, and where you cannot see, but hold my index finger right there, and keep that chenille on my side of the hook until I feel like I've got it pretty well in place. Then I just come along and tie my chenille in, not necessarily touching turns, but by the time I come to the end of my chenille and try to go back, I'm trying to get as much of that red turned tan with my thread as I can. And as I said, I am not a good fly tyer. There are going to be some of you watching this video that could tie circles around me, and I mean that in almost the most literal sense. Some of you guys are wonderful fly tyers, and I respect you for it. Guys and gals, I know some of you ladies are great fly tyers. Okay, I have my red chenille in. Notice how I came down the bend of the hook with my chenille just a little bit. Again, the idea is this thing riding hook point up, that little tail should be just sticking up there wiggling in the water. That's my idea. If I had thought of it a few minutes earlier, I'd have went to Dollar General and bought a goldfish bowl and have it set up to where we tie it and then we play with it. We look at it. Now, the gold tinsel chenille, same idea. I'm going to hold it on my side. Now, I kind of work between the tinsels themselves, the little sticky up thingies. Very, very similar when you're wrapping hackle feathers on a bugger. You know, you kind of work your way in between those fibers. And that's what I'm doing here, just a couple of loose wraps. Get it cinched pretty good, and then I tie it in. Now, I'm not so worried about the chenille rolling on me, and this may be error on my novice part, but I'm not so worried about the chenille rolling on me, because once I get the chenille tied in securely here, I'm advancing this thread, and now I'm not so much worried about touching turns. I just want to get to the front of the hook, or the eye of the hook. One of the reasons I'm using number 12 hooks, the man in the video was using a 14, I believe, and maybe even closer to a midge hook. I'm using number 12 hooks, if for no other reason, the eye size, the diameter of that eye right there, because my current leader tippet combination on my 8-weight and 10-weight for carp and big catfish is a 25-pound test leader, 17-pound test tippet. It served me well a year ago on catfish. So with the back surgery and everything, spring and summer have just disappeared on me for 2020. It's not because I haven't wanted to be out there. I've got a feeling that here in the next few weeks, I'm headed out there. That's why I have tied at least a half dozen of these getting ready to go. So we just palmer our gold on there, and you can see it covers okay, but I can't help but wonder what real gold chenille, like the red, would do to this. And it's probably something, if I get out there and the carp eat these up, there will be no changing anything other than make sure I've got a half dozen in my box every time I go. Okay, to the bead, I put the chenille over in my right fingers and do the goofy overhand with my left. I am so predominantly right-handed that it's not even funny. Kind of pull that a little bit to secure it. Switch hands, a couple of wraps right behind the bead to get my thread on the side of the chenille I want. I'm going to cut off the tag end of the chenille. Snip, gone. Now we're down to the whip finish. If you are a newbie fly tyer, learning to run this whip finish tool is going to be one of the best things you can ever teach yourself. It took me forever to get myself taught. I could throw a half hitch so quick that I actually probably fought learning how to use this whip finish tool. And as you can tell, compared to other videos you will watch, I still struggle. I have to think about it still. But I could throw a half hitch in things. Too many years of farming and cowboying. Pull our thread nice and tight. Cut off our excess. Now, one other thing that I do, I've got my Loctite gel control super glue, and I just give her a dab right there at the bead where we whip finished it off, right at the bead. This gel finish super glue is a little different than the old runny kind, and that's probably why I like it. Anyway, there is our stupid simple muddy water carp fly. As I said, when this lands, it should land hook point up, little red tail wiggling in the water. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope maybe it will give you something new to put in your box. I'm going to put this back in the vise, let that glue dry just a little bit more because it is just a bit tacky to the touch yet, before I put that over in my box. Anyway, as always, be safe. Get outside when you can. Drink lots and lots of water. I'll see you next time. Thank you.